Hi, I'm John Mallis. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Wednesday morning. Glad you're here. A lot to talk about. Specifically, that professor at Fresno State that lashed out at Donald Trump, of course, the president of the United States, on Twitter. What a backlash. Holy cow. 436-ME-TV, option 11. We have a first-time guest in the studio and an expert to talk on the subject. We're back with your phone calls and our guest in a moment.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
And back here on the program, I'm so glad you are here because today marks a special day here at Connect with Me on Me TV Fresno. Exactly 5 years ago today we started this program, so we are exactly 5 years old today. Back on April the 12th, 2012 is when it all started with Mark Sheeran, Ara Kachatourian, who is the executive producer, and I got to thank Gary Kokola too because he was part of this initiation back in 2011 and 2012. And we've graduated all this way to 2017. Now we have a great director. Her name is Carrie Franklin, and we're moving right along here in 2017 on Connect with Me. And I can't leave out our technical guy here is Marcus Borelli, goes out and shoots video for us and does some technical work here during this show, the live show in the studio. So 5 years and counting, and thank you to the viewers out there and the callers that have all called in and made this possible. Anyway, a couple of programming notes, and tomorrow we have somebody in from the Discovery Center to talk about the revamping of that place. Then on Friday, the Hanford Museum, I don't know if you'd call him the curator or the caretaker or whatever, he's going to be here because that place is a landmark. He'll be a first-time guest. And on Monday, we'll have our usual on-the-air off the presses guest here on Connect with Me. In the meantime, you're watching us live on Comcast channel 375 as usual. It's Comcast cable Monday through Friday, live 10 o'clock in the morning until 11. It's a call-in program. But if you don't have Comcast cable, it's okay. You can watch us over-the-air broadcast with a digital television antenna, 43.6 and 13.1 over-the-air broadcast. Then later in the day, like it or not, this program replays two more times. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 13.6 YouTube. 8 o'clock tonight, 4.6 Biz TV. And then you can catch this program on YouTube anytime that you would like, day or night on your computer if you wish. Well, I got to tell you something, my friends. Today's topic is a very interesting one because you're talking about tremendous backlash against a Fresno State professor who teaches American history out there. I want to put his photo up and show you exactly what I'm talking about. Here he is, Lars Mychuk, who teaches American history at the university, has not only made national headlines with his tweets in recent weeks, but he may have subjected himself to a possible federal probe by federal agents. Check out the tweet that he sent out on February the 17th, and you be the judge as to whether or not you think this is a threat. He tweeted, well, to save American democracy, Trump must hang. The sooner and the higher, the better. My goodness, his tweets prompted a response from Fresno State President Joseph Castro. And I know that this letter is difficult to read on your screen. Let's put it up there, but try to make it out. That's okay. I can make it out a little bit. You probably can too. Here's some of what Dr. Castro said. The university is taking this matter seriously and handling it in accordance with a law and policy. University will fully cooperate with any investigations conducted by federal officials. Those tweets also caught the attention of Breitbart News, a conservative media outlet. Hundreds of angry readers, many of whom whipped up a digital lynch mob. Many sending threatening emails to Mychuk, some suggesting he be fired. Here's a report from our local TV station, Channel 47.
Matters. The controversy surrounding a Fresno State professor's tweets about President Trump continues to grow. Lars Mychuk tweeted in February, quote, to save American democracy, Trump must hang. And another, he talks about a Trump assassin. Now, in a statement this morning, Fresno State says it will review those tweets even further. KC24's Dennis Valera joining us live at Fresno State. Dennis, you spoke with students there earlier. What do they have to say about the tweets?
Evan, students I spoke to believe these tweets went too far. They feel these tweets are advocating violence. Now, Myshuk has repeatedly said he does not condone violence, but some legal experts I spoke to say that this could escalate. Here at Fresno State, free speech is highly respected, but in regard to tweets by history professor Lars Myshuk, many feel free speech only goes so far.
There is a line that you cross if you start threatening anyone, really. It doesn't even just have to be the president, where that line gets crossed and it's unacceptable.
On Monday morning, Fresno State said Myshuk's tweets warrants further review, saying it would be conducted in context of free speech and look for potential direct threats of violence. In a statement to us, Myshuk said he was appalled by Fresno State, saying the university's statement takes the side of media outlets Myshuk says have been alleging that he was advocating violence. Former federal judge Oliver Wagner says the tweets are damaging if someone acts on them.
If this incites people to arm themselves or to want to harm someone, then it approaches terrorism.
Over the phone, the First Amendment Coalition told us the tweet that causes concern is the one about a Trump assassin, but the group's executive director says it doesn't encourage others to act.
It's merely a statement that he's not a big fan of the president, and he, would like to see a monument to anyone who would assassinate the president.
Snyder also told me if anything, Myshuk would get a call from Secret Service. Whether charges would be filed, he can't really say for sure. Now, Fresno State, in their statement this morning, did say they would cooperate with any investigations by federal officials. Live at Fresno State, Dennis Valera, KC24, local news that matters.
Dennis.
All right, live in our studio now is retired federal judge, Judge Oliver Wagner, who served on the bench from 1991 to 2011 when he retired. He was nominated by then President George H.W. Bush in January 1991, later confirmed by the U.S. Senate, of course. He also served as deputy DA here in Fresno County, 1967 and 69. He also was one of the co-founders of San Joaquin College of Law. A quite impressive resume. Nobody better to talk about this situation out at Fresno State than Judge Oliver Wagner, who is here, a first-time guest. I can't wait to hear from him and from you. 436-ME-TV, option 11. And I do want to thank also, this is our 5-year anniversary and the start of Ventura Broadcasting, of course, in 2011, 2012. I want to thank our broadcasting engineer, Leon Eskajian, who does a wonderful job day in and day out here. And to all of our crew here at Ventura Broadcasting, congratulations on 5 years and running. I'm sure they'll be here much longer than I will be. But anyway, 436-ME-TV, option 11. Back in just a moment.
Not sure what you're watching? Want to see what's coming up next? Or just want to browse what's on without the hassle of flipping channels? Your wish has come true. Now you can view schedules for all the digital TV channels available in the Central Valley. Get local weather updates and forecasts, and listen to nationally syndicated Biz Talk Radio, all on KVHF 4.1. Rescan your TV now, then tune in to Digital Channel 4.1 to start enjoying the all-new TV Guide.
When you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, will help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified KitchenAid appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Back here on the program, and Judge Oliver Wagner is here, first-time guest. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you?
Always good.
Good to see you. And I just want to thank everybody out there, 5 years and running. And I want to thank you for coming in today, because I want to let the viewing public know that you rearranged your schedule so you could be with us today. And I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And, the topic at hand is this Fresno State professor, of course. And who better than you to answer, did this guy, did Lars Myshuk, did he break the law? That's kind of what I want to know.
As we all know from our high school government course, the United States Constitution protects freedom of expression, the right to petition for redress of grievances, and free speech. Mm-hmm. Two of his, I guess they're tweets, have been mentioned. There's a third, he suggested that 2 Republicans should be killed for every deportee. And again, if that does not at least give the appearance of an incitement to violence, there is no ambiguity in killing. And if you add that to the president must hang to save democracy, the further statement that they're raising money and designing a draft to honor the Trump assassin, I would suggest that perhaps an inquiry into the mental ability of this individual ought to at least be something that would be scrutinized. Obviously, the president of Fresno State has made a statement which is responsible. He notes that there's a collective bargaining agreement that governs the teacher's conduct as well as the rules, the internal rules. But again, in our society, we welcome and we support and protect the freedom of speech and expression. But I haven't seen anybody mention what responsibility is advocated by this individual. He is an educator. He is a teacher. He has students in his classroom. What kind of effect does this kind of extremism and candidly polemic speech that is inflammatory, what purpose does it serve? Is it a joke? Is he a comedian, or is it something else?
Yeah. You know, I'm just thinking here as you're talking, and if a case like this, let's say when you were serving on the federal bench, if a case like this ever came before you in a court of law, and yeah, there's that angle of free speech, that's part of the law, but then where is the line, Judge Wanger, when someone makes a threat? How do you distinguish between free speech and a threat? Is there a fine line between that?
It is almost, you know it when you see it. There is the
Does
classic,
the law define it, or?
There is no specific definition. Rather, there is an example.
Hang on, caller.
You can't.
Yeah, hang on, caller.
You can't cry fire in a crowded theater. That's an example. And so the judge's job is to enforce and apply the law. It would be the jury that would decide whether or not factually these statements reached the level of intensity and, quite frankly, the level of danger that someone could be incited. Again, take a mentally ill person who hears this kind of speech. What is the effect?
Yeah. So they would have to, would the jury, and also in this case, would they also judge whether or not this guy was a real threat? Was he capable of committing some of these crimes? I mean, it's kind of like going at the airport. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't pretend to be. But is it similar to like going to the airport and say, you know, you yell out, say, bomb or gun or something like that?
You don't need to have the capability or the ability to commit the crime if, in fact, your conduct is such that it influences people to action.
Oh, if it influences and has a major impact on others to follow through with a crime.
The legal term is causation. If it causes someone else to engage in violence or to engage in destructive kinds of behavior.
Inciting violence.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Caller, you're on the air with Judge Oliver Wagner. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just was wondering, and maybe his, well, first I want to say thank you, Your Honor, for your service and everything you did for us. But has he seen as his time on the bench, as society as a general, has it shifted that much? Because when I was growing up, I mean, there were protests. I mean, I grew up in the 70s, and there were protests and stuff, but we never took it to this extreme or this level. Or anybody, I mean, I never did. I didn't participate, but the thing was, the things I would see, and now it's just like, you know, I mean, there's people out there still saying Trump is not my president. I mean, I could still go to maybe a dinner party and still, if I don't watch what I say, can still get into an argument with some guy who's still adamant that Trump is not our president or President Trump. And just the way in general, the way they treat the president and the way they act. And they're really hotheads. I mean, I'm surprised some of these people are educated. They're well educated. And they're business professionals. But something like this really gets them. And I just don't understand it. I just wanted to know maybe his view would help me, straighten it out, or maybe see things a little bit better? I don't know. That's my question. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be happy to respond to that. And of course, the views I express are my personal views, and they are not for attribution, no longer with the court. And your statement is a profound one. The intensity of the division in our nation, the political division, and the lack of respect for our institutions, for the office of the president and others, is something that perhaps is not unparalleled, but it is certainly something that is not positive or constructive.
Yeah, and it's more intense now. I don't recall. I mean, I can't recall every incident dating back to like Kennedy or even Nixon, or Clinton or what happened. I don't know how many. I mean, when you're president, you probably receive thousands of threats that we don't even hear about. But this one made national headlines, obviously. Whether or not it was a joke, I have no idea. But I want to get your reaction to, before we put some of the tweets up, and I have to go to break here in a couple of minutes. Today's Fresno Bee, here it is right here. Bill McEwen wrote an op-ed piece about this very topic, and he portrayed this guy, Lars Mychuk, as being, playing the victim. He's not the victim. He created this mess. Don't blame Breitbart News for reporting it, for God's sake. You made these ridiculous threats on Twitter, and you're responsible. No one else is. Do you agree with that?
I do. I think that Bill McEwen hit the nail right on the head. The first thing that the individual, Mychuk, does is to criticize the president, who has the responsibility for the university, foreseeing that his rights, meaning Mychuk's rights, to express himself are protected, and he does exactly that. But he also says there are rules, and what I see today that is unprecedented is the idea that, well, let's only follow the rules we agree with, and the rest of them we don't have to worry about. We won't obey them.
Yeah.
And that is something that is not positive.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, we're talking with Judge Oliver Wagner, retired federal judge, served 20 years on the bench. We're going to talk more about this Fresno State professor and put some of his other tweets up on the screen so you can read. Just kind of, maybe we'll get a sense of the mindset, where this guy is coming from. And don't forget his salary being paid by taxpayer dollars. Do you agree with this? 436 MeTV, option 11. If you want to call in on this Wednesday morning, a lot more to talk about in a moment.
The new Frigidaire Professional line at Ventura TV Video Appliance. Enjoy generous-sized cooktops and sauté or simmer with ease, while true convection ovens offer even baking and juicy roasting perfection. Foods stay their freshest in spacious refrigerators with convenient controls and clear filtered ice and water. Easy to clean surfaces reduce fingerprints, and the quietest of dishwashers makes cleanup a snap. The new Frigidaire Professional line at Ventura TV Video Appliance.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the save energy, save time, save money place. The Energy Star qualified #1 rated high efficiency Cabrio from Whirlpool Place. You heard right. Right now, save big on select Whirlpool Cabrio laundry pairs and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
Back here on the program with retired judge, federal judge, and you're not really retired. You're just retired from the federal bench, right?
To the private sector.
That's right. That's what that means. That means you're not sitting back watching soaps all day. You're still working as an attorney.
Still close to 80 hours a week.
Oh man, wow. So congratulations for serving 20 years as a U.S. judge, United States federal judge. But let me put some of the other tweets up. Let's start with. Let's just call them and put them up. Abortion. Let's start with that one. Here's what he said. If you can read that up on the screen. If only Mary had had an abortion, we would have been spared this. Let's see. I guess it's getting cut off there. I can't read it. The clerical fascist crap. His glory, my ass. What do you make of the mindset of somebody that writes something like this?
Candidly, it is inexplicable, not to be understood, and. This apparently, I'm no psychiatrist, but this is an individual who apparently for public dissemination is willing to express himself in those ways. without any sense of responsibility.
Yeah, and this, of course, took place on February 26th. This was after the Donald Trump tweet that took place on February the 17th. Let's put the next one up. It's called Backlash. There you see two of them there, talking about fascism, of course, and, you know, Donald Trump. And obviously, the tweets you can leave up there, the people at home can read them for themselves, because he basically, the message here is that Donald Trump is a fascist. And here, this is April the 9th, prior to April 17th, when he posted that now infamous tweet. What do you make of this one here?
Well, again, this is non-sequitorial.
I'm sorry, this was April 9th. It was after the infamous
Yes,
Donald Trump.
yes.
Trump
In
tweet.
other words, here a fascist is used, that term, not for its political meaning, but rather it's hate speech, simply to demonize someone that you don't like. And so to call someone you disagree with a fascist, again, look inward to the communicator who's expressing that.
Yeah.
Whatever the president is or is not, he doesn't tell people how to think. We don't have any legislative agenda that would amend the First Amendment to stop speech the way people want to express it.
Yeah.
That's what fascists do.
All right, put the next one up. He's talking about Neil Gorsuch, and it's Gorsuch, the Gorsuch tweet. Is that it right there? The Gorsuch tweet? Okay, I can't. Oh, okay, yeah, it is. Gorsuch is a gal from the darkest depths of the 19th century. Thank you for resisting his appointment. And so this one here, I guess it sounds like he's a liberal. He doesn't like conservatives. Am I right?
I read that to say ghoul from the
Oh, okay.
darkest depths. And again,
Gorsuch is a ghoul, yeah.
yeah, it is so far from rational thought. Why doesn't he talk about the merits? I assume he doesn't like the Hobby Lobby decision, or maybe the immigration decision. The Hobby Lobby case, of course, involved, it was a religious freedom case where a provision of the ACA provided that it was required that businesses pay for contraceptives. And he was in the minority. He dissented in that case. The court ruled essentially that was something that could be required. He indicated that as a matter of religious freedom, he didn't agree with that. And so, again, people have different views, they have different perspectives, and in our nation, we encourage that. And again, we don't insult and use obloquy as this language is.
Yeah, obviously, very negative here. Which one is this? Is this the homepage? Homepage one. I will also repeat what is evident to impartial observers, that Trump's republicanism stands in a continuity fascism. So again, referring to fascism again. So nothing new there. Let's go to the next one. It's called Racism Tweet. Finally discovered a cure for racism. Now this one, obviously, this could incite violence. Am I right?
What else does a bullet mean? What is the purpose of a bullet? You could be a hunter, but candidly, when he is referring to racism, he's referring to human beings who have views that are not lawful under the Civil Rights Act, but nonetheless, we don't talk about using bullets to cure racism or to cure anything else.
Mm-hmm. All right, put the next one up. It's called Recant. And you can see 3 different tweets there on April the 9th. And again, talking about Donald Trump. And the first one, kind of grabs me there a little bit. At that historical precedent suggests that a death sentence is inevitable if democracy prevails. That one grabbed my attention when I first saw that one. But what do you make of what he's saying here? What's
well?
I
I think you have to balance that. That's a very extreme statement, but he does say in the last tweet, "I do not intend to harm Mr. Trump, or do I wish for anyone else to harm Mr. Trump by way of an assassination." So obviously, he got the message from somebody, because that is a rational thought,
Right.
and it's a balanced thought.
Right. But it's almost as if he was forced into saying it because of the backlash. He didn't do it voluntarily. This is on April the 9th after the infamous tweet.
Well,
You know what I mean? It's almost like saying, hey, yeah, you apologize, but I had to force you to apologize.
it's an action resulting from a reaction,
Yeah.
but I do
So
think
is it-
we
is
need
it-
we
is
need
it-
to give him credit for expressing what would be a responsible
Is that
thought.
an apology
It's-
or what? Is
it's
that
the
an
first
apology?
one.
Is it an apology?
Quite frankly, what I think it is it is a defense.
Yeah.
He is in effect retracting some of his speech because I think he has come to realize that other people perceive it differently, perhaps from the way he intends these statements.
Yeah, and you have to, you just have to look at that last tweet and just wonder to yourself, is that really how he feels? Based on all these other tweets, based on the backlash, based on the fact that he was heavily criticized, based on the fact that now you have all of these people, all of these people that are angry at him, that have actually, and here's the thing, he's received email threats himself, death threats, from what I understand, what I've read. So he's gotten quite a backlash. So maybe this is a way, an attempt to say, hey, look, come on, cool it, I didn't really mean it. So it's kind of I don't know, I take that as if you're in a schoolyard fight with someone and the guy punches you in the face, but he apologizes only because the principal came over and forced him to. You know what I mean?
That could be. You probably don't need a retired judge. You would be better off with a mental health professional here analyzing all of this.
I know. But anyway, but I'm glad you're here. Let's put the last one up before we go to break. Trump tweet to save American democracy. Trump must hang, of course. The sooner and the higher and the better. The resistance, death to fascism. And so that's the Trump threat right there. What do you make of that threat specifically, that one that caught so much attention around the country?
Well, it is the same pattern where he essentially obviously disagrees and with Trump's rhetoric, with the president's views, and so you don't just take those on their merits and explain why they aren't valid or how they are harmful. Instead, you use hate speech, you call him a fascist, and that essentially takes care of everything you want to communicate. We don't see informed, enlightened people, especially someone who's supposed to be a role model, an educator, having taught for 25 years, taught law. There is an element of responsibility that any teacher has to encourage and to inspire students as well as to educating them, and this is not the way to do it.
Judge, is he subjected now to a federal probe? Possibly. Will the federal agents pay a visit to him? Secret Service?
Of course, there's a separation of powers in our nation, the judiciary and the executive.
Right.
Law enforcement is the executive branch, the Secret Service, the FBI, the DEA. I can't predict it, but what I can say is this. In my experience, in cases where this kind of speech occurs, and it is not just random or it isn't just, quite frankly, for humor, there will be a follow-up. All of that language is going to be analyzed, and depending upon how extreme, what the potential is, and how mentally unstable this language and this conduct communicates itself to be, there could well be an investigator or two who pay him a visit.
What about Dr. Joseph Castro now? He put out a letter saying, hey, we're going to cooperate with any federal investigation that takes place, even if this thing goes to court, whatever happens, the university, in other words, he said his views, the professor's views, do not represent Fresno State University's values at all. Did he do the right thing by putting that letter out?
I think that is a very responsible approach that he took, because remember, we also have a lot of dialogue in this nation now about whether certain laws should or should not be obeyed. And what President Castro is saying is that we're going to stand up, step up, and honor our obligations to not only observe and follow the law, but if there is an investigation based on conduct occurring on this university campus, we have a duty to cooperate with law enforcement, and we have a duty to protect our students and to protect our campus.
Yeah, so he did the right thing. And we're going to be back with more of Judge Oliver Wagner here. You can call in and weigh in at 436-MeTV option 11, talking about Lars Mychuk, that professor out at Fresno State. Back in a moment.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Frigidaire Gallery appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an Energy Star qualified French door Frigidaire Gallery refrigerator. Quality appliances for the way you live. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise.
Revin is now on KVHF channel 4.4.
Take a look at this. Let's play.
This is too hip for you. I'll slow down.
Let's play.
Watch all your favorite classic game shows on Buzzer TV, KVBC Digital Channel 13.7.
After God created the world, He made man and woman. Then, to keep the whole thing from collapsing, He invented humor.
Sub, a perfect reason to rejoice. A distinctly positioned channel in the crowded Hindi general entertainment channel space. It is India's only family comedy entertainment channel with a core brand promise of असली मजा सबके साथ आता है.
हाँ, देख रहा हूँ.
Which means celebrate the joy of being together. Taking humor as a universal language, the shows on Sub are light-hearted and make up for an enjoyable family viewing experience. Indeed.
असली मजा सबके साथ आता है.
अब तो सबको पता है यार.
Zob TV is now on digital channel 31.8.
The following is a list of celebrities you will not see on MeTV programs. Charlie Sheen, Lindsay Lohan, Snooki, Paris Hilton, Perez Hilton, Honey Boo Boo, Justin Bieber, Simon Cowell, Chris Brown, Miley Cyrus, and the Real Housewives of any place. This is who you will see on MeTV programs. Lucy, Ralph, Mary, Perry, Gilligan, Cannon, Spock, Batman, Rowdy, Festus, and the Beaver. MeTV. Thanks for watching.
Want to create something extraordinary? Create perfection. Our lifestyle appliances make it easy. KitchenAid, Ventura TV appliance, and you, when only the best will do.
All right, back here on the program with Judge Oliver Wagner, and we do have an email question. And if Mychuk taught at Brown or, say, UC Berkeley, would there be such a public outcry, do you think? Of course, you're talking about liberal campuses.
That's hard to know, quite frankly. there might be, given the events at Berkeley, when the controversial speaker appeared there, they didn't want him to speak, and they prevented that from happening. Would this be better received at a private school, Brown? I went to law school at Berkeley, so
Yeah.
I know that campus in the 60s.
You're talking about the Breitbart guy that recently resigned, Milo Yiannopoulos, I believe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. And, they destroyed property, and so it could well be better received. But again, that is something that is in the mind of each person who's exposed to it, and it will precipitate discussion, I'm sure.
Yeah, it certainly will. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Neil Gorsuch, and he was sworn in just the other day. The U.S. Senate had to use the nuclear option, of course, meaning that they didn't get the traditional 60 votes that they normally get to nominate a Supreme Court justice, judge, and was going nuclear the right thing to do in your judicial opinion?
Candidly, the Hatch Act prevents federal officers from expressing any kind of political views. The nuclear option is totally a political decision and a political issue. It's not law. What happens is there is, under the rules, the right to filibuster. A filibuster can go on indefinitely and forever. And so invoking the nuclear option is to change the rules of the Senate regarding hearing so that instead of a 60% majority, you are a simple majority of 50%. And that was invoked. As we know, that was done by the Democrats under Harry Reid when the Republicans were not essentially giving the vetting and the Senate judiciary hearings that the lower courts, Court of Appeals and district judges who were trial judges in the federal system, were getting. And so they invoked the nuclear option, and all we can do is say that this is a political decision, and the public will be heard because Congress, both the Senate and the House of Representatives, are elected by the people, and if the people don't like it, they're going to change it.
Right. I want to take a look at this piece of videotape. It's called Neil Gorsuch being sworn in, of course, by Anthony Kennedy, another justice on the Supreme Court. Take a look.
From Sacramento.
Yeah.
We are gathered here today for a truly momentous occasion in our democracy, the swearing in of a United States Supreme Court justice. Americans are blessed to have in Neil Gorsuch a man who will likewise be a devoted servant of the law. The American people have gotten to know, respect, and truly admire our newest member of the United States Supreme Court. In Justice Gorsuch, they see a man of great and unquestioned integrity. They see a man of unmatched qualifications. And most of all, and most importantly, they see a man who is deeply faithful to the Constitution of the United States. He will decide cases based not on his personal preferences, but based on a fair and objective reading of the law. Justice Gorsuch, you are now entrusted with the sacred duty of defending our Constitution. Our country is counting on you to be wise, impartial, and fair, to serve under our laws, not over them, and to safeguard the right of the people to govern their own affairs. I have no doubt you will rise to the occasion and that the decisions you will make will not only protect our Constitution today, but for many generations of Americans to come. I have no doubt you will go down as one of the truly great justices in the history of the United States Supreme Court.
All right, Judge, obviously Neil Gorsuch being sworn in the other day in the White House, the ceremony there taking place in front of friends and family, and Neil Gorsuch's wife holding the Bible, Anthony Kennedy doing the honors with the President of the United States looking on. Caller, you're on the air with our judge here, Oliver Wagner. Go ahead.
Yes, you know, I was just listening to that what you're showing there right now, and the president saying how this justice is very devoted, or the most devoted to the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
I find that kind of, if I was a Supreme Court justice sitting there on the bench, I would find that somewhat insulting. In that he's kind of insinuating that, well, maybe I'm not as dedicated or to the Constitution as, say, a next person is, and so forth, as the president is saying. This new guy Gorsuch is. I find that kind of somewhat insulting. So, I mean, you know, what do you think about that? I mean, he's obviously a political judge. I mean, how do you think his strength is going to be on sitting on the bench now?
Okay, thank you, caller.
The obligation of any judge is to put aside personal views, to put aside politics especially. Judges are not political people. It is against the law for a judge to engage in political activity, a federal judge. And the statement that the Constitution should be honored is an accurate one because the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Relative to Neil Gorsuch, he is going to replace Justice Scalia. He is a textualist. He is an originalist. I can explain those terms if you want me to.
Yeah, please do.
But candidly, he is inimitably qualified, and politics, quite frankly, should not enter into any judicial decision making. A textualist means that the judge looks at the language of a law, the statute.
He's going by the textbook.
And goes by the text, limits the scope, rather than being expansive and creative. You endeavor to do what the legislature intended by the words of the statute, and that is what you follow. Secondly, an originalist is, and Scalia was a brilliant jurist and an originalist, this is a judicial philosophy that interprets the United States Constitution as it was written with the endeavor to honor the intent at that time, and that then leads to the concept, the modern concept of judicial activism, where we have, as opposed to originalists, we have a jurisprudential thought of what is called not only judicial activism, but what is called the living Constitution, which is to say we interpret the Constitution as if it could be amended to address issues that never existed when the Constitution was written. And the answer to that is simple for an originalist. The originalist says, under the separation of the powers, the elected representatives, federal judges are not elected. And those people who've been elected by the people of the United States are the ones who make our laws. And if laws, new laws to address changes in society need to be enacted, that is their job and function.
And did you have a high regard for Merrick Garland as well, because he didn't?
No question about it. Merrick Garland is a brilliant jurist. He was a responsible leader of his court on the D.C. circuit. There is no question. That was politics. Within a year of a potential change in administration, either side does not advance a Supreme Court nominee.
Yeah, all of these hearings, though, they all become political to a certain extent. It's really unfortunate that many of these, nominees are not just confirmed based on their merit.
That is a modern phenomena. I can say that when I had my hearing before the Senate Judiciary Committee in March of 1991, there was no politics, and the vote was 100-0. And I was at that time a nominee of George H.W. Bush as a Republican, and Democrats and Republicans were on that committee.
What's the toughest question you faced back then during the nomination?
I can tell you that the questions were not very tough. I was not asked about any, as the Supreme Court nominees are, if you had this case, what are your thoughts about it?
No, the reason I bring that up is I want you to listen to this, because this came up during the nomination. If you recall, Dianne Feinstein, the senator, the great U.S. senator from state of California here, was questioning, I got to put this call on hold here, was questioning him. Hang on, caller, get to you in a moment here, was questioning Neil Gorsuch about overturning Roe versus Wade. That never came up in your case, but here, listen to this, Roe versus Wade.
The president said that he would appoint someone who would overturn Roe. You pointed out to me that you viewed precedent in a serious way in that it added stability to the law. Could you elaborate on the point that you made in my office on that?
Part of the value of precedent, it has lots of value. It has value in and of itself because it's our history. And our history has value intrinsically. But it also has an instrumental value in this sense. It adds to the determinacy of law. We have lots of tools that allow us to narrow the realm of admissible dispute between parties so that people can anticipate and organize their affairs. It's part of the reason why the rule of law in this country works so well. We have statutes, we have rules, we have a fact-finding process and a judicial system that's the envy of the world. And precedent is a key part of that because, as the chairman pointed out when he quoted a piece of mine, once a case is settled, that adds to the determinacy of the law. What was once a hotly contested issue is no longer a hotly contested issue. We move forward. And Senator, the value of that is the United States Supreme Court takes something like 70 or 80 cases a year. That is a tiny fraction of all the disputes in our federal legal system, right?
Right.
My law clerks tell me it's something like 0.001%. And they're unanimous in those cases which have divided circuit judges. That's why Supreme Court largely takes the case, because it's divided us. It's one of the rare cases where we disagree. They're unanimous 40% of the time.
One other question.
Sure.
Do you view Roe as having super precedent?
Well, Senator, a super precedent is
in numbers, 44.
It has been reaffirmed many times. I can say that, yes.
What do you make of that exchange?
Again, much more than needed to be said.
Yeah.
But he is indicating to her that he's not going to do anything in terms of overturning a decision that is established precedent unless there's a very good reason for it. And he did not say he saw any good reason to answer a specific question, but he gave her a much, much broader and more comprehensive answer.
Yeah, in your professional judgment, you've been an attorney, you've been a judge for so many years, you have so much experience in this area. Let me put this call on hold here. Hang on, caller, hang on a moment, I'll get to you in a moment. Do you ever see a time when Roe versus Wade might be overturned?
Again,
just your professional judgment, just from
in
your
my
experience.
Professional judgment, I do not. I think that it would take the law, in other words, being changed by Congress.
Yeah.
That's who has the right to change that. That has become, even though it's judge-made law, that has become part of the law of our land, and I don't see the court changing that decision.
It's become well accepted and part of the law of our land, pretty much.
That is true.
Okay, caller, you're on the air with us here at Connect With Me. What's your question or your comment?
Yes, John. This is Joe Newby. We talked here not too long ago.
Yeah. Hey, Joe. Okay, I just got to explain, Joe. Let's put his picture up just real quick. He is from the Conservative Firing Line, a very conservative news outlet. That's a picture of Joe right there. You're on with Judge Oliver Wagner as well. He is a retired federal judge, served and was appointed by George H.W. Bush, 1991, and served for 20 years. So what's your comment? I'm saying you have a comment, of course, about Lars Mychek, the professor at Fresno State. Am I right about that?
That's correct. I've done several posts on this guy, and I've got a change.org petition up calling for the school to fire him. And there's a very good reason for that, John. Here's the problem as I see it.
Okay.
Mr. Mychek isn't what I would call your garden variety leftist wandering the streets of Fresno, and he's not a teenager tweeting stuff from his mother's basement, okay? This guy has a PhD. He should, in my opinion, be mature enough and educated enough to know that the kind of tweets that he's putting out are not the kind of tweets that one would expect to see from someone with his education and position. That's number one. The media has focused primarily on 2 or 3 tweets that he's done. All of them are highly offensive. I went further, and I dug deeper into his Twitter feed, which, by the way, has been deleted as of early this morning, going back at least to just after the election. This guy, for example, had a picture of a bullet with a caption on it saying, calling it the cure for racism if applied directly to the cranium. Now, you don't need to be an MIT-educated rocket scientist to know what he's talking about. If you go deeper, I mean, this guy even talked about punching out Democrats who call for national unity. He's repeatedly compared Trump to Hitler, Republicans to Nazis, Christians. He's attacked Christianity. He's attacked the Constitution, on and on and on and on and on and on. In my opinion, if I were a young Christian conservative Trump supporter in his class, I honestly would not feel safe in his classroom.
Yeah. If
I was a parent who had a child or a grandchild at that school, I would be very concerned for their safety if I knew about these tweets.
Okay.
The school, in my opinion, has a duty, not just a responsibility, but a duty to ensure that this school is a safe learning environment for anybody, regardless of their political or their religious persuasion.
Yeah.
And failing to do so, in my opinion, would be a dereliction of that duty.
Yeah.
And so I believe this professor needs to be fired. If he can't handle being a professor without going off the deep end on Twitter, then in my view, he shouldn't be there, quite frankly.
Okay, I appreciate it. And Judge Wanger, I know that you're here to offer, from a legal standpoint, you're not here to offer opinion whether or not he should be fired or not. But who knows what's going to happen in this case? School is out now. Everybody's on recess. It's Easter break, so Joe Newby is on the line from the conservative firing line. We'll put his picture up just one more time. We're talking about Lars Mychek, the professor at Fresno State that put out this tweet on February the 17th about Donald Trump, and of course he has created quite a backlash for himself. And Joe, let me ask you one more question, then I got to go, and that is, do you think there's an op-ed piece in the Fresno Bee today, and I know you're calling from Idaho, but you can look it up online, and that is that Bill McEwen basically says, hey, look, Lars, don't play the victim here. You created this mess yourself. Is he right about that?
He's 100% right. I read that op-ed, and I blogged about it this morning, and people are liking it. I fully agree. The only thing I might have a slight disagreement with is his characterization of Breitbart. But that aside, everything else that Mr. McEwen wrote is 100% correct, and he essentially is saying the same thing that I am. This guy should not be playing the victim card. You know what it reminds me of, and I know you're under time, it reminds me of the schoolyard bully, John. It goes out and beats up on kids taking their lunch money, and finally one day these kids say enough of this, and they smack the bully upside the head, and the bully goes running home to mama. Mychek, in my view, Mychek, whatever, has been pitching for a fight at least since the election. He's finally got what he wanted, and now he's running and saying, oh, hoo-hoo, boo-hoo, these poor, mean conservatives are beating up on me. I don't agree with death threats. I don't care where it's coming from, but I have no sympathy for this guy. He's been putting out this fight. He's been, pining for this fight for months. He's got it.
Yeah.
And so, in my view, he's gotten what he deserves.
Hey, I appreciate your time. Thank you for calling in, Joe. It's good talking to you, and I want you to call back, and we'll talk again on the air sometime. I appreciate it.
Thank you, John. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. That's Joe Newby from the Conservative Firing Line, a conservative online publication, and you can go on there and just go to conservativefiringline.com and read it. But Judge Oliver Wagner is here, and I want to ask you about Judge Armando Rodriguez. You knew him. He recently passed away. He unfortunately died of pancreatic cancer. You knew him well. There he is right there. He was a guest on this program once, talking about the first Hispanic judge on the bench in Fresno County. Am I right?
You're 100% right.
Talk about him. You knew him. I didn't really know him that well.
A great man. He cared about the community. He cared
Hang on,
about
caller.
everybody who appeared before him. He did his best to do justice. And he was on the bench in controversial times. If you remember the agricultural labor movement and in the 70s and 80s, he was at the forefront.
Was he fair?
Inimitably fair.
Right.
And just a model,
Right.
a model for what a judge should be.
Right. Caller, we're short on time. We got about maybe a minute and a half left. What's your question quickly?
I just want to ask Judge Wagner about the Patriot Act, and I was wondering what his thoughts are in terms of, like, has it diminished the people's right to freedom of speech, and also did it also take away some from, I think it's the Fourth Amendment in terms of the search and seizure laws.
Okay.
I was wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Thank you. Thank you for the call.
All right. Candidly, we have so little time that would require more than the time we have. I will say simply that the Fourth Amendment search and seizure laws are interpreted by the courts based on the facts of each case that are presented. I don't think that the Patriot Act has substantively changed the text and the interpretation of the Fourth Amendment. I don't think that we're involved at all with the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms. And so my view is that the effect has not been that great, but again, we will see what the courts do with it.
All right. I appreciate your time, and thank you for coming in on such short notice and changing your schedule just for us. And come back again. Hey, I'm honored that you're here on our 5th anniversary.
All right.
All right.
Good to see you.
All right. We're still on camera here, so
Okay.
you'll be out in a minute. Judge Oliver Wagner served on the bench for 20 years as a U.S. federal judge. We're back tomorrow with the Discovery Center here on Connect with Me. See you tomorrow. Have a good day.
If you have a need to promote your business or event, please consider MeTV Fresno for your next campaign. MeTV reaches over 100,000 of your potential customers in the Fresno area every single week. Plus, you can rest assured that your commercial is running in the greatest family-friendly programs of all time. MeTV Fresno delivers a strong, loyal audience ready to buy, and your campaign will cost a fraction of what you're paying for your advertising now. Call me today to find out how affordable MeTV is at 905-1925.
Explore strange new worlds on MeTV. Seek out new life.
I've seen old photographs of this period. Let's get out of here.
And new civilizations. Boldly go to Mayberry and the Andy Griffith Show.
Weeknights at 8 on MeTV Fresno.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Whirlpool appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create